Good morning. Good morning. I'm trying to think of a new intro. I don't know if I like that one. Hello, my favorite people. So last night I posted a UK police versus US police video, and whenever I was talking about the United Kingdom and the four countries that make up the United Kingdom, Scotland, England, Wales, and Ireland, you guys got offended because I just said Ireland. I didn't specify between Northern Ireland and Southern Ireland. Those are two completely different countries, and I apologize for that. And some of you said that there's a long history between Ireland and Great Britain. There's a bloody history. So, in order to not make that mistake again or forget that distinguishment, I wanted to go ahead and react to this video called Feature History: The Troubles. This video was recommended by a lot of you in the comment section, and it's going to apparently teach me about Ireland's history, their road to independence, and British rule, I guess. So here we go. Make sure you subscribe. I think this is going to be a turning point for the reactions maybe in the culture series. As you all know, we've been sticking with UK, but more so just British culture. Maybe now it's time to transition into Irish culture or Scottish culture or even Wales. I know a lot of you were asking me to react to the Wales fight calls or whatever, whenever it comes to sports. Apparently that's a good video to do. But I don't know. Y'all let me know your thoughts. Do you want me to continue with the British culture, or do you want me to move on now to other surrounding areas and then maybe even broaden out to other places? I don't know. Subscribe if you're new here. Make sure you like this video as well. That lets me know that you want me to keep doing the culture series at all. Comment something nice and check out my Instagram. Follow me over there. I have a bomb fashion sense. Here we go into Feature History: The Troubles, though. Before I start this reaction, just remember this series is about me learning. So don't go to the comment section with any rudeness, I guess. I'm trying to learn. Like, the whole point of me doing this series is so I can learn, and while I'm learning, you're bashing me for trying to learn. Just thought I'd say that. Anyways, here we go.
Oh, diddly-dee. A leprechaun put a bum in me potato. Ah!
Bum in me potato?
For the Irish people having been disgusted and left, we can start.
That's funny. Ooh. I'm gonna like this, I can already tell. Feature History.
Hello and welcome to Feature History, featuring the impatiently awaited and source of much pester, the Troubles. A rather understated name for a 30-year-long period of sectarian violence at its finest. It formed both the issues and the culture of our contemporary Northern Ireland, and as such a relevant topic today, you can expect many unwanted opinions in the comments. Enough about that though. We have 2 videos worth of controversy to get through here.
I like the guy's passive aggressiveness. I know that could probably put some people off, but I think it's kind of funny.
And now. And later when the part goes up. For the source of the Troubles, you can go all the way back to 1169.
Jeez.
The Norman conquest of Ireland. But for the sake of brevity, I'm going to try to rush to the 20th century. Irish leaders for many centuries would struggle politically with English kings, and this peaked with the Protestant Reformation that saw the majority of England turn Protestant with their monarchy, and the majority of Ireland remain Catholic. A rebellion in the late 16th century saw...
Also, if you... basically any American-produced period drama that focuses on, like, Wessex, Wales, or anything like that, like English... is English the right term? I believe so. English rule always talks about Protestant versus Catholic. That's always a big, major part of the show, because I think that's a big part of y'all's history.
efforts to assimilate the Irish, by just replacing who the Irish were. Protestant...
That's a big part of just colonialism, period. You want to assimilate a group of people by making them forget their history. And that's a big thing of being an American too, so we are similar in that negative way.
English and Scottish were sent to Ireland to attempt to colonise the island and saw success in the north. Or as it is otherwise known by, Ulster. The following
Ulster.
English Civil War and Glorious Revolution would see the Irish Catholics ally with the losing side, leading to penal laws being placed on them by the Protestant English Parliament. During the Great French Wars, the French would provoke a Protestant-led rebellion for Irish independence, which caused the British government to claim Ireland as a core part of their kingdom.
Wait. So the French went to help Ireland, but then after the fact, their real goal was to take over Ireland too. What?
Control. Concessions would be made with the Catholic emancipation in 1829, but it did little to improve their position.
Oh, dang.
Damage had been done, and many Catholics were still made to live on the poorer land. A turning point would be the decimation caused by the Irish potato famine in 1845. 1 million deaths, exacerbated by British mismanagement, caused the Irish to demand for an Irish Parliament. Some demanded for full Irish independence.
Okay. So because of the famine, the drought or whatever, a lot of people passed away, and the people of Ireland blamed the British government for not taking care of them. So therefore, since the British weren't doing their job, they wanted actual Irish people to look after them, like have their own political system. Which is, again, the same as American history. The whole reason America fought for independence. We wanted our own rule from our own people. We didn't want to be under the thumb of the crown anymore. I feel like a lot of the stories about independence and imperialism all go the same way. And one thing I also want to bring up in my video from yesterday, we somehow got into the discussion of Black Lives Matter and everything going on in America, and someone brought up, what about the Irish? Obviously, we know that the Irish were also discriminated against, but the thing is, they were also discriminated against by other white people. So it doesn't really, I guess you can say, it doesn't rebuttal discrimination against people of color, because again, we're both discriminated against by the same race. That's a generalization, but you know what I'm trying to say.
But the most popular movement was that of Home Rule. It'd see a self-governed Ireland within the United Kingdom. Its bill would finally be passed in 1912, much to the scrutiny of the mostly Protestant Ulster Loyalists in the north. It'd, however, be placed on hold given the outbreak of the First World War. Some more radical Irishmen would come out against British rule in 1916, dubbed the Easter Rising. It'd fail, but when the insurrectionists were executed by the government, the rebels would become martyrs. Their fringe movement turned into public outrage. 73 members of the Irish Republican Party, Sinn Féin, would be elected to the British Parliament in 1918. And
So
would
some
refuse
representation.
to attend the Parliament in London, instead choosing to form an Irish Parliament in Dublin in 1919. This action would spark the War of the Independence that saw the Irish Republican Army brought together to fight for, well, an Irish Republic. The Anglo-Irish Treaty, drawn up in 1921, would see a partitioned Ireland, one to be split between the mostly Catholic nationalist South and the mostly Protestant loyalist North.
Okay. So this whole time I was thinking like, not the United Kingdom, Britain sort of forced the northern part of the island to still be a part of the UK. I was thinking it was like, okay, we'll give you this, but we're going to keep this. But apparently, I guess it was it was an Irish decision. As he said, the South was more Catholic and the North was more Protestant, which aligned with Britain. So it would, I guess, make more sense then.
Catch, as there was a significant Catholic minority present in Northern Ireland. There was also a substantial amount of people generally...
That's true. So what? Those people are sort of, I guess, would be forced to move south? But that's not always a possibility. So, in a way, those Catholic people in the north were just forced to join the kingdom.
Pleased with the treaty, refusing to recognise the compromised Irish Free State, and certainly refusing to recognise a British Northern Ireland. The stem of the IRA would break off as the anti-treaty
British Northern Ireland. So if you're from the north and you're both British and Irish, I guess by ethnicity, not necessarily race. Someone correct me on that. I'm not really understanding that 100%. Is it just a title, or is it like that's your actual ethnicity?
and fight in the Civil War, only to be put down in 1923 and have the Free State be affirmed. These wars had caused a drift in Northern Ireland. The Protestant majority now suspected and occasionally feared the Catholic minority, who had grown to see the Protestants as oppressive and tyrannical. Over the course of several decades, segregation became normalized between the two communities. In hiring, education, and housing, Protestants and Catholics rarely mixed. The anti-treaty IRA still existed.
I have to be honest, that is so stupid. You serve the same God, don't you? I'm going to, well, I don't really have much understanding of Catholicism, but they believe in Jesus, right? I feel like it's all a realm of Christianity in some way. It's all relative, so why should there be a major division? Are the morals and like the facts that you believe really that drastic that you have to hate one side or think one side is wrong? Just like how Christianity has so many different denominations, but at the end of the day, we all believe in the same God, so it doesn't really matter. Whether you're Lutheran, what am I? What am I? Pentecostal, or any other denomination of Christianity, you're still a Christian. It's just an umbrella term. I think someone explained the difference between Catholic and Protestant, because it seems like there's bad blood between there.
However dormant. It had begun to see an influx of Marxists, much to the annoyance of the older, more traditional members. In the early 60s, Northern Ireland became subject to a civil rights movement, set on highlighting the inequalities in the province. Staunch loyalists feared it as an IRA front.
It's so weird the similarities we have.
United Ireland. Civil rights protests began to lead to riots, as both
Civil rights protests began to lead to riots. It's like I'm looking in the mirror right now. Wow.
and loyalists and the Royal Ulster Constabulary wished to crack down upon them.
A baseball
this led
bat.
to a great number of Catholics rejecting the RUC's authority, attempting to create their own institutions, as seen in the self-declared autonomous area of Free Derry. Tensions had been rising steadily since 1966 and would climax in 69. A Protestant parade was set
That's immature. Climax in 69.
move through a Catholic area of Londonderry, or whatever you want to call it, so you don't
Bum
get
flap
mad.
Willie!
Protestants and Catholics would initially begin slinging any old crap at each other, leading to clashes. As the police moved in to crack down, battles erupted. This is known as the Battle of the Bogside. Hundreds of police and civilians were injured in the riots.
Did someone just shoot?
Of the constabulary would be pushed from the Bogside area. By the third day of rioting, things had become intense, and the Northern Irish Prime Minister requested British troops to relieve the officers. A battalion would intervene as a neutral force to separate the residents from the police and bring an end to
Italy got involved? I'm going to keep my thoughts to myself on this one.
battle. With the news of the battle spreading quickly, agitated Irish nationalists began to break out in protest, and the Ulster Loyalists, fearing a total uprising, began to clash with nationalists, causing widespread violence across Northern Ireland. With an overwhelmed and accusedly biased constabulary not of much help, the British Army would have some serious trouble maintaining law and order.
So the Irish people who were there to basically police the area didn't, I guess, want to or feel comfortable doing it because they saw both sides, because, again, they are Irish, maybe? The honeymoon.
The army had initially been welcomed as a neutral force into the Troubles. The nationalists and loyalists both believed the army was there to protect them from the other. As the violence continued, however, some nationalists began to believe too little was being done to quell the violence against them. The divide in the population was clear, but beneath the surface another divide had formed.
Okay, this is going to the if I have any, Northern Irish viewers. How do you feel about... Because I'm going to be honest, I didn't even know, one, that there was a second part of Ireland, or two, that there was a second flag. When I think of Ireland, I didn't know geography, so I don't think of the geography. All I think of is the green and orange flag. But to know that there's an actual second, like, y'all genuinely have your own country, separate from the green and orange and Southern Irish people. How does that make you feel? Because I know... if I were in your spot, I would feel sort of, what's the word? Where you feel not acknowledged, like your presence isn't respected. Whatever word paraphrases that emotion, that's how I would feel. So express yourself in the comments. Feel free to. Again, this is an open discussion. I'm just trying to learn. Don't come at me. Don't come at them. To all you Hasselhoffs out there.
In the IRA, the traditionalist Republicans broke away from the Marxist bunch due to the perceived unwillingness of their leaders to protect nationalist communities. This new provisional IRA would soon dwarf its paternal organisation. They had, though, inherited a crumbling support. Few wanted the help of a paramilitary gang. This changed when, in the Battle of St. Matthews in 1970, the local IRA beat back an armed loyalist mob in a shootout, serving to guard a Catholic nationalist enclave. It was a significant propaganda victory for the organisation. The British Army looked to disarm this violence. It would enter the infamous Falls Road area of Belfast, a nationalist stronghold, to seize
Look at all the children, though. What is this? B Specials... the Laurel Leaf? Yeah, these are a lot of women and children, though, that they're, like, pushing back. But where does the whole no Irish allowed and like that kind of discrimination come from? Because obviously, I've seen those signs and stuff, but I don't think there would be any distinguishing between if you're from Northern Ireland or Southern Ireland. They were always just general Irish people not allowed in this area. So he hasn't talked about that yet.
They were thorough and harsh in their action, doing a significant disservice to their reputation. In the Falls Curfew, the army would come under harassment from both the IRA and angered residents, leading to the unfortunate death of 4 civilians. In August of 1971, the British Army and RUC would undertake Operation Demetrius, which sought to intern paramilitary members. However, their list held a strong nationalist bias, and the operation itself was subject to fumbles, leading to an upsurge in reactionary violence. Those interned reported torture. 2 IRA members were killed, 2 soldiers had also been killed, not to mention 20 civilians.
Dang.
More than a good look, to say the least. With nationalist support of the army at an all-time low, and the hopes of defeating the IRA militarily dashed, the soldiers would be turned to local policing, checkpoint duty, and riot control. The unpopular policy of internment continued as well. Imprisonment without trial was seen as the only logistical way to deal with the unrest. In January of 1972, both the...
I don't agree with that, but I feel like it's obvious that that's wrong. Or it should be anyway. But if you feel like you can defend internment, go ahead and try in the comments.
And the police were deployed to oversee an anti-internment march in Derry. British paratroopers were present, and they had been despised for their role in killing 11 people during Operation Demetrius. Small groups began to lob rocks at the paratroopers, provoking the paratroopers to open fire in return.
Okay. I think it's wrong on both sides. Yes, I understand your frustration, but by throwing rocks at people who literally have guns and the people with guns firing back, it's just terrible for both people. But then again, there's no comparison between a rock and a bullet.
The crowd would quickly devolve into chaos. 28 people would be shot and 14 died. Given the circumstances of their deaths, the paratroopers were decried for their actions, and the British Army at large felt the ire of the nationalists, Catholics, and more. In what would become known as Bloody Sunday, it had put a definite end to any...
So because of rocks, 20 people died. I feel like that would be more the people there, the IRA or whatever they're called, reacted in annoyance and irritation and not necessarily... Like, if someone's throwing a rock at you, you have all this helmet on, this padding, a shield. It would be easy for you just to approach them and disarm them. Obviously, you don't know if they have other weapons, but as we saw, it was women and children. It's not likely that they had any other weapons to use against them. Bloody Sunday is a terrible, terrible thing in history. Unnecessary.
Idea of a honeymoon.
Oh, that's all. Oh, man. So, Irish history and the relationship with Britain is basically the same exact history Americans have and the same history we have with Britain as well. So, let me know in the comments if you think it's fair to say that throughout history, Britain has been a tyrant. Now, before people get mad and say, all I ever do is talk bad about Britain, this is not me talking about Britain. This is talking about history. Everything that's led up to this point. I'm not saying anything bad about Britain or British people. I'm saying with the relationship Britain has had with the places they've colonized, or tried to colonize anyway, do you believe they've done it in the best way? That's just up for discussion. I'm not making any points or anything like that. This video I did enjoy, getting to learn about Irish people, because really all you get to see about Ireland in the media is leprechauns, the beard, green, and all that stuff. So it's nice to actually hear about like the differences between Protestantism and Catholicism, and how you were able to separate one island into 2 separate countries, and the results of that. So yeah, let me know if you guys want me to do a part 2 of this video, because I did see this was only part 1, so maybe in the second video he talks about the discrimination a bit more, because that's also a big part of what Americans learn about Irish people and their culture. Like this video if you enjoyed. Let's get like 600 likes on this. Follow me on Instagram, and I'll see you guys probably later today. Bye.